Hey there, TNA fam, how's it going today? We're back here to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans, and this week we're talking No Surrender again. Apparently, there's nothing happening at that event. It's just an event, guys, because apparently these shows sell themselves. They don't. They don't. Sorry, I've got something caught in my throat there, but really, guys, what the hell? Like, I try to go to bat for you guys all the time. Like, there are obviously some stories that you're cooking, and that's great. But this is the thing that I've said and said and said and said before. These events don't sell themselves. Just because you say, hey, we're coming to town, doesn't mean the tickets are going to sell. Now, not to say that no tickets have sold. Certainly some tickets have sold to these events. But, again, if you were advertising what matches and feuds and things were going on at this event, then people would buy tickets because then they know what they are buying into, not just saying, hey, we're coming to town, please buy some tickets. Instead of doing that, being like, hey, we have this cool match, we have this cool feud, we have this cool story, and this is why you should buy a ticket, and this is why you should care. Like, instead of that, you're just going, oh, we're coming to town, hope you'll join us. Maybe we'll have some matches or some stories and yada yada yada. Maybe we'll build them up in a couple more weeks or whatever. No! Build them up now! Tell us what we're gonna see and then frigging say, okay, we're gonna spend the next 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is getting to there. Now, how long? I think it's like 3 weeks, I think. Something like that. 2 or 3 weeks. I'm gonna look it up. Because it's on the 13th, right? So where are we? Right. So that is about 2 weeks away. Guys, with less than 2 weeks build, you, like, even next week, I don't even know I have seen the preview for next week, but besides, like, saying maybe one thing, I could say that there's just about nothing besides maybe one thing, I guess, on this show that's, being built up to an extent, right? In storyline or on TV. Alright, so, but before I get too far going on, let's see. I don't know why it's... Okay, whatever. Select tickets. Wait, what? Quick Pass. I don't know what that is. Get tickets. Let's see. Why? What? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, whatever. Let's see. I think, like, it would be on WrestleTix. Maybe I can look it up there. Hopefully, if this... whatever. I don't care. Okay, cool. Whatever. So... Oh. Okay, there it goes. Whoops. Okay. So, let's see. There is quite a few tickets sold thus far. Okay, at least on the main 2 sides of the ramp and the ring, there are. So there's still probably at least more than half of the tickets still to be sold for this event. But there are some tickets sold. Okay. Alright. But you know what would sell more tickets? Besides just getting closer to the event? Matches announced for the show. Okay? Brand new concept, guys. I don't know whether you've heard of this. And more than 2 weeks notice for those matches. Okay? Brand new concept here, guys. I don't know whether you've ever thought of this before, but just brand new concept. Here it is. Build a story as you've already announced, hey, this is where it's going. This is where we're going. This is our destination. And this is how we're getting there. These are the weeks and the months and whatever else it is that we're going to go to that place and get there. That is where we're going. That is our next step. Blah, blah, blah. So, this is why you're tuning in. To see these guys, go against each other in the weeks and whatever leading up to this. Not just, we don't know what we're going to see. You could be seeing bananas or nothing. And maybe some of this is going somewhere, but maybe some of it isn't. Who knows? So that's what I mean. It's like, dude, the fuck? Literally, the fuck are you doing? Like with saying nothing is announced for this show. And it's like only a couple of weeks away. What is going on? The main event always is the biggest draw. I get that. So you might be saying, well, we don't want to announce anything before we announce the main event or whatever. The main, thing that's going to be on the card or whatever. Screw that. Announce whatever you want whenever you want it. Just announce something so that people could go, oh, okay, cool. That's what we're going to see when this thing rolls into town. It's different for a TV taping because people go in, and it's a smaller arena, and people go in going, well, we probably don't know what we're going to see exactly. But again, especially if something's been announced ahead of time, you're going, well, for the pay-per-view that's in whatever number of weeks, this is what's going to happen. So obviously we're going to see some stuff that's relating around that or relating around some of the other stuff that's going on at that show. So again, announce some things. Don't worry about whether you're announcing the main event or you're announcing some of the mid-card stuff or whatever else it is. Just announce things so people can be like, oh yes, now we know what's happening. Like some people like me can read into the storylines and gain an inference on what maybe we'll see, but people want to know what they're going to see, not just, well, there'll be stuff and it's a show and we're coming, so get your tickets. People can't invest in things if there's nothing to invest in. If there's nothing announced, they can't invest in it. So again, you've got to tell people where you're going, what the destination kind of is, before you've kind of got there, so you can, advertise for it. That is how you sell tickets. It's not just saying, oh, we'll be there and we'll be square. You've got to say, this is what you should expect to see on this major pay-per-view. Or this at least minor pay-per-view. I know the minor pay-per-views do a lot less, but that's why you should put more effort in, because otherwise they're never going to do any better. If you keep saying, oh, whatever, they're going to do whatever number they're going to do, then they're going to do whatever number they're going to do, because you're not putting in any effort to say, oh, yeah, okay, we will announce things weeks and weeks and weeks in advance, and people will know what's happening weeks in advance so that it can, get to go, okay, cool, so this is where this is going, this is where that's going, okay, cool, great, cool. And not everything has to be like that, but again, at least the major things have to be like that, so that people can be like, okay, this is why we're going to see this. This is where this is going. Not just, oh, there might be some matches, and it's going to be a show, and it's going to be on a Saturday or Sunday, or whatever, on a Friday. Okay, cool, great. And it's going to be in my local area. Oh, well, I suppose I can get tickets. If you're saying, hey, these are the matches that you're hyped to see, or these are the feuds that, that you're seeing on TV that you're hyped to see, then people will tune in. Crazy idea, guys. I know people are like, oh, maybe I want to see this, or maybe I want to see that, or whatever else it is. But again, if you're advertising it to them, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, I didn't really think about that, but now that you're saying it to me and presenting it to me, now I do want to see this, or whatever it is, That's just another way of getting people hooked and involved and interested. Because otherwise you're just saying, oh yeah, we'll be there. You know? Oh, fuck's sake. I'm so annoyed with it. It is so ridiculous. Hopefully next week they have at least one thing announced for the show, because like if they don't have anything announced for the show by next week with 2 weeks to build to it, it's like, dude, what the frick are you doing? Literally, I will be on here swearing and cursing next week if they're not. And in fact, like I said to you guys before, maybe I should look up at the spoilers, because I could if I really wanted. But I will find out at some point soon whether you guys want me to do that. So, yeah, definitely let me know. But anyway, trying to read through the inferences now, because I'm going to get off the horse of saying, hey, get your finger out of your butts and actually start, announcing matches or announcing things so people can tell what they're going to see. One thing that they probably are going to see is something between Elijah and Mustafa Ali. I'm assuming some sort of plunder match. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a steel cage match of some sort. I don't know. Just to try to keep Order 4 out of the kind of equation. But then again, they've been teasing, and the whole lot of the story of late has been to do with the guitar. So maybe like a guitar on a pole match of some sort, or guitar like suspended from the rafters, like a title belt or something like that. I don't know, something like that. They could do just a guitar match. I don't know. Well, maybe the guitar's just going to be the main prop that they kind of use to finish this type thing. I don't know. You could say anything. I wouldn't know. But again, that's at least one thing that you can infer to say, okay, this is something that we might be seeing on this show. In regard to this match, or potential match at least at this point, or this potential feud, I see Ali winning this side of the match. He's already won one side of the match, I guess, just the regular ass match that they had, but I see him winning this one too. I feel like, again, you need to build more heels for Santana to face. Even if he's beaten Ali before, Ali does have a victory over Santana. So, again, I feel like just having more people to go after, again, the championship, the main belt is your main priority. You should be saying, okay, how do we build more people for Santana to go through for the next 6 months, for the next 8 months, for the next however long it is, until we're going to take that belt off of him, and then we're going to give it to somebody else, and then how are they going to go through whomever for 5-6 months, whatever it is, and then who's going to take that off them? Maybe you don't know that far ahead, but again, start saying, we've got to think way more long term as well. Where is all of this going? Where, why, how, all that stuff. Not just, again, this shows, yes, a sense of saying we will listen to the fans in a sense and book what they want to see, but sometimes you just need to book things so that the fans can be like, okay, now we can tell you what we want to see, or whatever it is. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah, this is something that I think fans, even if, Ali's winning, it's like, oh, okay, cool, great. But, I don't know. I said before, that, we could see something for Indy Hartwell in the tag team division. It seems like they're putting her in that kind of spot. It seems like she might be facing off against the Elegance brand in a tag team match of some sort. And maybe her partner's Xia Brookside. I don't know. But that, to me, that doesn't make much sense right now, because it's they haven't, like, this next week they're teaming for the first time, I guess. And like, if you're gonna say, well, they're not gonna win, it's like, oh, okay, like, type thing. Like, where do you go from there, type thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a match or whatever, and like, what story are you building in that, or where are you going with that? Like, you've just said that Ash now can come back and can work. Um, so she's been working her butt off to get medically cleared, I think. And I think it's like, in some ways, absolutely rightfully so. But, in many ways, it's been like, I think she was like, I don't want to, go out this way. This isn't the way I want to go out. I think she was like, legit, like, pissed, like, that, things ended the way that, or sort of ended the way that they did. So I think she's been like, dude, I've just got to finish. Like, even if I can't really go for another year or can't go for very long, I need to wrap myself up for the next, for real, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe she's like fully healed and she can go and do a Shawn Michaels. I don't know if she can wrestle for the next like decade or whatever. I don't know. But I think she in herself has to know, hey, I don't know how long I've got with this. This, like, I don't know what surgery she had to have. The injury's still been undisclosed. All this other stuff. So again, like, at this point, if she can't, if she's been cleared, she has to think, like, not every match, but every year is, or every month maybe is the last month. I've got to try to wrap this thing up as quickly as possible. To me, like, she never lost the belt, like, and that's true. So that's a great feud. Now, like, I feel like you've really got some great contenders in some way to that Knockouts title. I felt like before, like, heel performers to contend for Laying Lee's title. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Now it starts to feel like maybe, like, before it felt like it's inevitable that Danny's winning this thing or whatever. So, or whoever's winning this thing is whoever's winning this thing as quick, or maybe as quickly or fairly quickly, because, like, we just need to get it on a heel so that we can actually build stories and actually build people up, because we don't have enough, heels for these other people to really go through or to work with or whatever. Because at least then, if they only have to work with the champion and maybe like the Elegance brand or whatever else it is, it's at least like, well, at least you can lose to like the champion and lose that way, or lose by shenanigans or whatever else it is. I mean, still, if you have one or two other more people there, like, like Tessa and Co and whatever else, like, yeah, sure, but they've more or less been relegated to a tag team, scene type thing because of a lot of other issues or whatnot, and I understand that. But again, like, she could be in that contention, obviously, but I think that they don't want to do that, and that's a smart idea. And I don't know how much longer her contract is, but I think that the try there is to get Mila over as much as possible, get her as established as possible in the time frame that, she seems to be a good heel and whatnot. But yeah, if you're getting her over in that regard, and I don't know, it'd be kind of hard to heel on Tessa and Victoria, but like, maybe that's what she should do just to get herself to be as over as possible. Again, maybe she should be a tag team person for a little while or something. I don't know. But again, like, I feel like if she gets over enough and she, like, gets out there and can do it, like, she can be a singles person. She can be at the top there, and doing some great stuff. So I just, same for a lot of people that are there. They actually have a lot of potential with M by Elegance and Hello by Elegance. I think that like that almost should have opened the door for either of them to become more of a singles act or something like that. I don't know. But like again, it feels like very much like you're doing something with them. Maybe like I think it's too soon to do something with Ash. Like, but maybe that's what you're gonna do. At least maybe she's gonna have some sort of match. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like if she's going right back into the deep end, that feels like, I don't know. But then again, you're saying maybe she should get her contractual rematch of some sort for the belt. You know, I don't know. That feels like something. I don't know. She shouldn't have to prove herself, obviously, because heels don't really go out there to prove themselves or whatever else it is. But like, I think there is a level of concern, perhaps not completely like in kayfabe or whatever, but in reality. Like, that's the difference of some people being like, is she really able to go? So I think fans need that sort of assurance in some ways to see that she can not just be in the tag team and be like on the apron there and just like, or doing little spots or whatever, but she can get in there and she can take bumps and she can, go, not just, she's kind of there and kind of like, whatever, just a heater effectively, and I think that they wouldn't have done all of this stuff if she hadn't, but like, I think fans need to visually see it, and that's what like maybe next week's about. But are you actually going to build to a match between her and Lay at Sacrifice, or No Surrender rather, whatever. I keep getting the two confused. They're too similar named and too close together. But yeah, if you are, my perspective would be that, like, it's like, yeah, again, like, it's too soon for Lay to kind of lose it, and you haven't built up this idea that Ash is going to win it sort of thing enough. Even if she wins next week, like, it doesn't matter. Even if she never lost, it doesn't matter. Like, again, maybe, like, you could argue to say, well, maybe that's their plan still, and they might go that way even so. Like, dude, I honestly don't. I like Ash, and I kind of want to see her back in being the champion, but the way that they're going about it right now is not the way that I want them to be going about it. You know what I mean? I want them to show me that Ash can do this thing, and Ash can be the lady and carry this division. Maybe they can do that in the upcoming weeks and months if she wins it. Absolutely, I can understand that. But again, I want to see that. And yes, she proved it in the last couple of years, whatever. But she's been injured. She's been out. Whatever it is. Shenanigans. Carry on. She's had to rehab and come back. So again, right, now I want to see her for at least a little while climbing back up and proving that she can be at that top level. Not just, here I am, oh, I win it, oh, okay, here we go. Maybe that's better from, like, a heat standpoint or whatever else it is, but I don't know. It's tough. It's so tough. But again, I don't see it happening because it's like, you haven't showcased it. You know what I mean? If you showcase things, then people kind of get in this vibe that this is what you're doing, and this is why you're doing it, and this is where you're going with it, and all of that stuff. It's not that you've got, like, I don't know, this whole thing going on and whatnot of, like, we feel like this is where we're going, this is where we're going, this is where we're going, it's just, oh, okay, she's gonna challenge. Okay, well, that means you're not going in that direction then, are you? It means that she's a stopgap to this run where you're like, Lay's on this run, da 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 da, off she goes, and whatnot. So let's see what she can do, or whatever, or let's see who can actually topple her, or whatever, and like I so much want them to get this belt off Lay, because I just think she was a stopgap champion. Honestly, she was like the ultimate stopgap champion of like, let's put it on you. We don't know what else to do or whatever. Let's do this. And yeah, I don't know. So she just doesn't feel like, not like as a wrestler, and somewhat not as a character, but somewhat like just in the build of everything. Like, she never felt like, they never made it feel like, oh, she's gonna win. She's gonna win. She's gonna be the woman. She's gonna be the top star. She was in a tag team. She's still in a tag team. Whatever. And maybe there's a story there. I don't know. But they haven't really made her, like, at all, until she won the belt, feel like she's the girl. And even now it still feels like, she's got to have all these, like, other things. Yeah, like, sometimes I don't 100% get it on with these things, but, like, yeah, like, obviously, like, I could be wrong. You could go back to Ash and say, okay, the title's on Ash. But then, like, it becomes, like I said, you've got a bunch of great heels. Like, you don't really have that many great baby faces, at least ones you haven't, like, invested time and energy and effort into. So, like, I don't know. And that's been the problem of late, where it's like, oh, we didn't really pull the trigger here with Indy, and maybe it wasn't the right time or whatever. I don't know. Or whatever. You just wanted a different story or whatever. Maybe, like, again, I think there was a lot of WWE involvement in that, in some ways, decision, which again I just think is just not on. I think it's not something we should keep running our head into. I almost don't want to talk about the situation with Ryan Nemeth and Mara Shade, but I guess that's going to be something at some point, some sort of blow-off match. Again, get this over with. Get on with having her do stuff in the knockouts. Have him get along doing some stuff, either as a tag team guy, or as a manager, or as a singles guy. Like, stop toying around doing this. Like, like, yeah, it should be over. No one, like, no one really wants to see this, bro. Now, something that I don't know whether it's a story or whether this is just a, like, legit thing, because sometimes it is, these things are legit, but, like, to me, like, I at least hope it's a story or something, even if it is leading the same direction, I guess, so to speak, is that if Steve Macklin is leaving, which seemingly maybe he is, I don't know, at least, like, hopefully he has, like, a big time match with, like, Eric Young. And I said before, like, it's one of those things of saying, like, Eric, like, all due respect to the dude, and all, like, he's great, he's still great, but, like, what are you doing with him? It, like, especially with this call your shot, he's a made man, he doesn't need that, and the fact that he won the X Division an X Division title opportunity, maybe you're saying, oh, well, the motivation for him or whatever is to get the X Division to call option C and then, cash it in or whatever. Or maybe you're like, well, we don't know how long we've got Leon for or whatever, or if he's going to be under contract or whatever, all this other stuff, so we want to back up or whatever. But, like, I hope that it leads to Macklin, like, beating Eric and then, returning or whatever and all of that. I would like to see that. I would like to see Macklin there. Maybe he's going to WWE. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's just like, I don't think he's giving it in, but, maybe there's something else. And then another thing here that I didn't expect out of left field for me, because I felt like here you have AJ and Swan. AJ gets the win. Now you're going to have this hardcore match, whatever, plunder match. By the way, I want to say before I go too far, awesome match between these two. The crowd were right into it as well, and they had a great match here, a great plunder match. It wasn't just about the plunder, it was about the story and whatnot. But yeah, the great plunder match. But yeah, I thought, going into this, right, AJ's winning, okay, that's the end of this. You're going to move him on, and he's going to do other bigger, better things down the line and whatnot. That's why you're doing this. I thought, surely this would be on pay-per-view or whatever else, you want to say. But Swanee getting the, upset win feels like this isn't over now. So now it's like, what else can they do? I don't know, at a certain point, it is like, I think after No Surrender, it does become like, okay, this is played out, time to move on. Same for a lot of things. Like, you could talk about Mustafa Ali and Elijah. I think I've talked about that already a fair bit. So I think that is also played out a little bit. It's time to say, okay, you're both having to go on to new opponents and new stories and things like that. No matter which way it goes, even if I'm wrong or right or whatever, they have to go their separate ways. There's not much more you can do with them. They have to have some sort of blow-off match. That's it for them. They have to go on to do something else. Same for Swan and Francis here. They've been feuding for a while. Even if you say, oh, well, we want to come back to it later or what, that's fine. But, for now, it's like, okay, get to the next big match. Finish it for now. Move them on. Have them do something else. Okay? So, yeah. I don't know, you've got, with the world title, you've got Nick Nemeth, you've got, I'm about to say Kazarian, but then again, Kazarian is still maybe floating around, I don't know, so you never know, but yeah, you've got, Eric Young with potential, if he gets the X Division title, which I don't think he really will, but, you've got that potential there, and you've got, and you got Eddie with his feast or fired, call your shot effectively. So you've got two, maybe three guys. I don't know whether people count Ali, but Ali has got the charisma and has got everything that's needed to be a proper main event guy. So I think you've got those three proper main event guys, Nick Nemeth, Eddie, and Ali as next challengers for Santana, possibly with EY there. I don't know, that's a bit shaky or whatever. But still, you've got that there for him. So, but what is next? That's the thing. Who is gonna challenge next? I said before that, you don't want to have too many people with effectively I can cash this thing in at any time opportunity. I said before, now you're almost I said before, you're almost indicating, right, well, we're going to go towards Eddie as the more, like, I guess, long-term plans, I guess, would so to speak. Nick Nemeth, I think, would be much more immediate, somewhat, plans, so to speak, at least. But yeah, like, you've got to think, like, okay, or I've got to try to think, okay, where is this going? Why? When? How? Like, again, I said maybe, like, you think about, like, going with Ali, but, like, with the way you're putting things together with these other things, it feels like, well, you probably want to wait them out. Like, so, like, I feel like you could still have Ali challenge Santana for the title. Unfortunately, he probably doesn't win. And then maybe, like, you might say rematch of some sort. I don't know. But it wouldn't work with saying, let's have Ali and let's have Eddie with the Collier shot. Or, you know, like, at that point, I assumed Nick has already called his in. You see what I mean? But if both of them had it, it would be, like, a really weird situation. So I just don't see you pulling the trigger. Same thing, like, if Nick Nemeth would to win the title, like, then why would you give a briefcase to Eddie? You know what I mean? At that point, you know? It's like, doesn't... Like, maybe you say, oh, yes, it's for a year or whatever, so you could keep it hanging around. But by Bound for Glory, there's going to be another, like, call your shot trophy around. So it's like, well, we need it gone before then, well before then. And Slammiversary or Rebellion feel like the bigger shows. So, like, I know, like, I think, like, Ali at Rebellion, maybe. And maybe you could keep Nick Nemeth holding the call your shot, but I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna have Eddie hold his call your shot or whatever, his opportunity till Bound for Glory in 8 months, that is so long. Like, and then it's like, yeah, like, same for Dolph, or for Nick, rather. It's like, oh, he can't hold that thing a full year. Like, it expires by then, you know. So, and then it's like, oh, now we've got somebody else winning it to potentially, like, get that belt, you know. So it's like one of those things of saying, you know, again, like, I don't want to say that poo-poo any ideas that they've had, but it's like, or too much, but it is like, man, like, Eddie and Nick, like, the old guard, you know, like, both guys who you could have just said are in number one contendership or in that main event picture or are having, like, the ability to get close to that. It's like, well, you know, they don't really need much to get there. It'd be better off served to say, let's find some young guys or whatever to put these things on, or to give some young guys, even if you're saying, oh, well, we'll give those guys that, but we'll give some other younger guys some, like, bigger wins. Like, that's hopefully what you're doing with Francis as well. Like, because again, like, you know what you need, even if you say, oh, well, he's not going to win the belt. Maybe he will, who knows, I don't know. But, like, if you say, hey, are we gonna put the belt on him, aren't we? I think it would be one of those things of saying, let's do it, in a sense, you know, or at least they put him in that main event picture. Like, let's just do it. He's a top guy now. Like, you know, you need more top guys. You need more of your own guys. And I know people nitpick and say, oh, he's from WWE. He was there for a hot cup of tea. You know, like, a lot of guys were there. You wouldn't consider Swerve Strickland a WWE guy, you know, or whatever. And he was probably there just as long as Francis was. Maybe Francis was there a bit longer, but I don't know. I don't really care either. It doesn't really matter. They were both kind of just there. So again, I don't really see that you're doing much there to roll that ball further with that. But right now, like, those are the only, like, I feel those are the only people that I can see that are, like, somewhat building or somewhat have potential on the horizon in that space, at least for now. One of the things that I think is kind of cool that they did was with Trey, giving him the international title shot. So when you, like I said, when you've got a babyface holding it, it's a lot more difficult, I find, because, like, the babyface has to be like calling his shot effectively in advance. He can't really call his shot sneakily or whatever, because that's something that's more heelish to an extent. But and it's real tough to get the mixture right. So I feel like it's just something that you should just avoid, because even on a heel, it's like, ooh, that was a little bit underhanded or whatever. So it's like a little less good sometimes when you put these things on a baby face. But yeah, like, it is what it is for now. But like I said last week, they didn't have any build for the show with anything, and I didn't really talk about any of the potential stuff because I didn't really see enough, like, stuff to start going, this is where they're going, perhaps, or whatever. I could have seen, like, maybe you're doing stuff with the Elegance brand, but, like, or Indy or some of these other people, but, like, again, it's tough to say, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I think the world title picture would still be, like, very up in arms, so to speak. And yeah, there's a lot that's, like, the tag team scene seems just as up in arms at the moment. Or at least the men's tag teams, though. Like, but at least for once, you kind of have something for the women, kind of. Except it's on, NXT. So I don't know, dude. But it is what it is at a certain point. But yeah, guys. I know you guys are all in the same page with that, because you're all very smart and all know all this stuff, but I am obsessed and I need to talk about it. So I love it that you guys indulge me and let me come on here and ramble and info dump and rave about the thing that I really like to talk about, because it really helps me, like, with my, like, enjoyment and just passion for wrestling and whatnot. Like, it keeps me motivated to do things, even when there's other things going on, and it's not super easy right now to always be focused on this, but I will focus on it because I just need to. That is me. I need some other distraction as well. It is the way it is. But anyway, having said all that, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you join me again in another one.